Hi, it's David Lee here from Your Business Post. I've got a guest today with me. It's John Farrington. Hi, John. Whereabouts do you live for the people that are watching us now?
Good morning, David. How are you?
Very well.
We come from, we live in Burton-on-Trent, which is in the West Midlands. Nearest city is probably Derby. We run a property business. We have our two daughters that work in the business as well.
So, John, I've known you for a few years. Could you just let me know what is it that your business does, your property business? How do you help somebody like me, for example? I'm looking for accommodation. I could be a property investor. I could be looking to sell my property or whatever. How, with your family business, how would you help somebody like me, John?
Several ways. We could, if you were looking for accommodation, we could provide rental properties. We provide single let houses, or you can 2-3 bedroom or a room. We do executive rooms. If you're looking for something really nice, David, that would suit you. Or
So, John, because I came from Australia, and I remember when I got here, I just didn't know the procedures or didn't know what I had to go and do. How can you make life easier for me? Because I had to start my work, and I had all the family commitments. How can you streamline the process for me to get about what I'm doing? What is it you provide that's custom made?
It would be a very simple process, David. You tell me, if you're looking to get a house, then I'm sure we can find one for you. We can make the whole process very simple. You just need a little bit of commitment to get going, a little bit of money to put down, and it's far simpler than normal procedures to buy a house. We can make the whole thing very simple for you.
Now, I also remember vividly 1994. I came here and I had to rent, but my upbringing was to get a house as quickly as I could. And in those days, it wasn't possible for me to get on the property ladder. I had to wait 3 years and get accounts. What could you do if I arrived in the country today, or for whatever reason I just can't go to the bank? What would you be able to offer me? Because I prefer to get on the property ladder than just renting.
Yeah, well, we would be able to help you there, David. It wouldn't be a problem. We'd be able to find a house, and you could move in straight away. You wouldn't need to go through all the long-winded process you have to with banks, and then you would be able to treat the property as instead of just a rental home, you treat it as your own home, and then we would guide you through the whole process to be able to buy it outright for yourself and build added value.
So you must have contacts, people that you work with, I guess your team, that helps you go through this, whether it's finance or legals, or who are some of the people that you do work with locally?
We have a fantastic team that we've put together over the past few years. We have mortgage brokers, we have several solicitors we deal with, for all aspects of the real estate market that can make everything work for you. Without all the complications you get through the normal procedure through banks.
So your business must have evolved, because I don't recall that a few years ago, to be able to do things like that. You've got more flexibility than the traditional real estate agent that I come across.
That's right, and I think the whole procedure has worsened, shall I say, for want of a better word, since the credit crunch. But things haven't changed in the way we do things, and it is just very, very simple. I say, you tell me what you're looking for, we can provide the possibilities, move in, treat the home, treat the house like your own home. Very, very simple. I say, it's through many, many contacts, and it's a procedure that's very, very simple. The procedures have been carried out in Australia, in the States, for years and years, and it's actually very well known in the commercial sector. It's never really been done a great deal in the residential area.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks. The fact that you do work as a family business, we can come down and see you at your office, I guess?
Please do. Please feel free to contact me either via our website or all the contact details. I'm sure that you'll be able to contact David, which we'd appreciate, thank you, and I'm sure we can provide a lot of opportunities for anybody out there that's looking to get onto the housing market or looking for accommodation.
Thanks very much, John, and best wishes with the business and your success. Thank you. John, thanks for that. Now, for the people on Your Business Post, I'm going to talk a little bit about your history, John, because I've known you since 2008, and I've seen you go through the trials and tribulations of getting a lot of the property strategies that Rick Otten and myself introduced in the 2000s. You've had your own history of getting these systems to run for you. Could you just let the people know briefly what's happened for you to be able to do this a few years later?
I think, David, when I first started off and went to Rick's boot camp, which was, I think it was back in 2008, 2009.
2009 was his boot camp, but we introduced How to Buy a House for £1 in 2008.
Yeah. Was it prior to that, David, that he actually brought out his book? And we did the How to Buy a House for £1. But over the years, I embraced the idea and tried to apply it, which I did with 1 or 2 option agreements. We did an option to buy, we did a sandwich option. I think it was putting the whole thing together. It was little bits of the jigsaw puzzle, the system, how it worked, and there was a few doubts, a few niggles. Over the past few years, I've come round in a full circle now, and I've realised how everything slots into place, and now we're starting to do, put it like this, instalment contracts. It comes out of our toolbox virtually every time.
For those that are watching and haven't got a clue what John's talking about with instalment contracts or options, what he's talking about is using paperwork. Instead of buying the house, you're using paperwork to take control of the property, and there's various types of documents that allows you to do what you want, and you can choose to at a later date to complete the purchase, which is just delaying the purchase, or you could either on-sell it to somebody else and never actually take ownership. So he's using a more fluid system than what otherwise existed. So that's my translation. So keep going, John.
Yeah, yes, getting back to basics again, which is this is how I make these systems work, is because I meet people that are motivated to sell the properties, and I look to find solutions for them. That is the basics of it, solutions. So we sit down, I sit down with the seller, what are you looking for, what solution do you need? And it's as simple as getting a piece of paper in front of the seller and saying, right, you write down what you need out of this deal, I will write something down, and let's find a solution for you. And then we create the paperwork to make it work.
John, what the learning process that you've gone through over the last few years, I foresee will have great benefits for you. The financial world that we're in is very unstable at the moment, and because you now have an adaptable way to transact real estate, it means that you can do transactions, you can solve people's problems that many other people cannot solve. And so this is and that is the reason why we introduced what we did. We could foresee a very volatile market. And if you, John, if you were stuck with just the same old default systems, you would not be able to survive very readily, I don't think, doing this in a volatile market.
Definitely. In the past, we had only one tool in our toolbox, and if the seller wasn't amenable to a cash deal, an all BMV, as people keep talking about, then we would have to walk away. There's nothing we could do to offer them. Now, we could probably convert a very much higher percentage of deals, probably 8 out of 10, as many as that, if the sellers are motivated.
Now, John, as I've mentioned, you've gone through a complete learning curve that I went through in the 2000s, and it's one of the things that I found. I was in a position where I had to go out on stage and I had to speak to various people because we're introducing it into the United Kingdom. It was completely unknown. As you know, back in 2008, nobody knew about this. They didn't know how to transact it in the United Kingdom. But if I could, I would have preferred to have just gone away, sat back, told nobody, and just go about my business. And that's what I recommend to most people, because the reality is, if you start talking about the mechanics of everything you're going to do, you're going to get all the naysayers. And I think you've found in reality that when you go and do these and you just go about your business, you have less problems, less dealings with anybody who says it can't be done. Have you noticed that as well?
Definitely, definitely. There's so many people that out there will say, they will always say, even if you give them the answer, the correct answer, which most will probably understand in simplicity, is they will always turn around and say, what if? What if? What if? What if? Well, none of us would take action at all in life, would we?
We wouldn't get married, and we'd never plan anything.
So we always say, well, what if this happened?
Okay, John, so that's part 2. I'm going to go into part 3 now for the people that are watching online. I'll just put that on. Okay, this is part 3. John, now, if we could go back to 2008 and we could transfer what I've got here or what Rick Otten had, would you do it?
Oh, yes, definitely.
It's now 7 years later. It's 2015. What have you had to endure as your learning curve that you wish that you could have just had it transplanted back in 2008?
Well, a lot of missed opportunities, David, first of all. We could have accelerated our business considerably. I would say within a very short period of time in 2008, we'll probably be where we are now. In simple terms, it has created problems with the credit crunch and all these other excuses that people have brought along to say, well, I can't do this, I can't do that because of this and because of that.
Because I know, John, you had people saying from different quarters what you can and can't do. You'd say, no, it's illegal, you can't do that, and I'm sure your family questioned about what you were doing next.
I think everybody questioned it at the time, even my solicitor. We started using solicitors out of town, then came back, wanted to use local solicitors, and there was even a lot of questions there. Now our local solicitor, she's like a partner to us now.
Oh, but what law has changed in the last few years to make the difference?
Absolutely nothing.
So I think you realise it's how you talk to the legal people,
Exactly.
how you talk to the finance. It's what comes out of your mouth.
Yes.
The words that come and where it comes from. The thinking that changes, because nothing else has changed. And that is what I had to go through. And John, I can see what you're doing in your business today, and I can see how you could improve things dramatically. And that's what I'm doing, not just for you. The reason why you don't see me doing real estate and property investing anymore is because I was trying to address the needs of business people or business people in property because they can't see it for themselves. And that's why I know that what you've just said is how you communicate with people, how you get the message across, and so people get comfortable with you. But if they never get to see you, know you, or understand you, or you to communicate your message, you are having to go through that every single time for people to break the ice. Does this sound familiar? Every time you go and do a new property transaction, you've got to start from scratch. Is that correct?
That's right.
You've got no credibility. They don't believe what you've said. Is that what you're going through?
Yes, that's right. Yes. I mean, we try and simplify things as much as possible, and we try to deal with people as we're almost with friends. We sit down. The last thing we talk about, the first thing we talk about is certainly not property. It's just about them, who they are, and then talking about their solutions.
How much time is this taking out of your day, going and talking about the chit-chat and everything? And what I've done is, because I've been through that, yeah, if you could make it improve, I get people to know you from the first point of contact. And I do that in an automated manner because I realize I cannot scale up my business, and your upscalability is limited because of the time you are spending in your business having these chit-chats, conversations, trying to prove yourself right while they go off and talk to their learned friends who know nothing at all. And if you could have your knowledge, your expertise and everything you've done laid out for people from the moment they see you, not in person, but in a business card, on your website, what would that save you in time to close transactions?
Well, hopefully a huge amount of
It
time.
would say, and anybody in business, it would be the same thing. Now the problem is, what do you know about getting this in the technology to put this together? I'm sure with your background, what would you know, John? Just be honest, please. Don't go into detail.
No, I was self-taught many of us try to often be experts in everything.
Yeah.
But why waste time trying to be experts in everything when you can delegate?
That's the point. Because I've just built, I told you I'm not a property guy, I'm a systems guy. And I look at people doing things inefficiently, and I see people in business, and I see how they don't know how to ask the right questions, they don't know how to put the jigsaw puzzles together, because that's all I do. And that's what I'm working on at the moment. And people will see this in the next few weeks. So I'll just leave it at that, because I don't want to take too much time. But I know that with many people in business, if they could get more time back, they could do better working on the job and not in the job, so they could be more effective. So that's what I'm doing, John. For everybody on the call, thank you for joining us this month. This has been John Farrington. How was this? You weren't prepared for this, John. I had to get you knowing what to say. How was it for you?
Well, absolutely. You gave me 12 months warning on this, David. Yes, it made it very simple.
It wasn't as difficult, but was it worth it?
Well, I used to play on stage, but that's another story.
Okay. So thanks very much, everybody. This is David Lee with John Farrington, and it's been your Business Post. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David.
Bye-bye.